Neil Delamere is in studio, a man who has somehow managed to make fun out of all the mess that we're in. Neil, you're very welcome.
Thanks very much.
You're in Kilkenny for Kilconomics.
I was, yeah. It was kind of spectacular. If people don't know what it was a comedy meets economics kind of forum on just gigs, I suppose, really. And
is that not like chalk and cheese?
It is, and you really realise you're a chancer because you're sitting there with, like, some of the guys, the economics guys were proper, heavyweights. There was, like, the former regulator of the entire United States. There was a former minister for finance for Argentina. There was David McWilliams, a guy from UCL, who an Icelandic economist, and then me and Colin Murphy just sitting there going, so, how do you do a bank draft, So it was a bit weird, but they were very, very impressive sorts of fellas, and they all had their own tips on what we should do and what we shouldn't do.
And are we at the point where we just have to laugh at the mess we're in at this stage?
I think we need to go back to bartering and pigs and souls and stuff. They all kind of, most of them said that we're going the wrong way, and we should kind of default, and that we should kind of stand up to the international community pretty much. That's what they all said,
And what do you reckon?
I haven't a clue, to be honest with you. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's hard to, no matter, the point, a guy called Bill, what was the second name? I can't remember the second name. He was a former regulator of the United States. He said that we are essentially doing more harm to ourselves. We're cutting it back further than if the IMF came in here. That's what he said. We were punishing ourselves. Yeah, pretty much. That's what he was saying. And we were kind of trying to draw the analogy. So it's like, we're doing more damage to ourselves than they would do to us. That was his suggestion.
The impression we're given is that if the IMF come in, we'll be back to wearing, no shoes. We'll be walking barefoot to school all over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we were saying, so basically, it's like being outside a chipper and some guy's about to start a row with you, and you go, well, rather than you do it, I'm going to punch myself in the face harder than you would have, and then stand on my own testicles. And he said, that's exactly what it's like. Yeah. And that, incidentally, I was told last night, made the LA Times and the New York Times.
Wow.
Yes. Not the off topic yet, but fingers crossed.
Okay. Well, maybe the Express is out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And it's now on Midlands 103.
Maybe the Midlands Tribune. Listen, if you get the triumphant New York Times, LA Times and Offaly Express, I'd be happy out.
You're sorted then. Have you noticed it yourself, though, in terms of numbers showing up at gigs? Has the recession affected you in any way?
It's bizarre. No, actually, extraordinarily not. Most of the tour is rammed, and there's extra dates on some places. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of it, will it affect different parts of the country more? There are certain kind of black spots, or so they tell me, and so the economy says, in the country. So maybe those gigs will be slower, but I'll be able to tell you kind of at the end of the run more so than halfway through.
Well, there are still tickets for Thursday night, and you'll be at the Bridge House Hotel in Tullamore then.
Yeah, I will be, and but that's always been sold out in the past few years. I suppose maybe because you're from here and stuff like that. So, but it would depend.
Does that mean you get more abuse at the local gigs?
Abuse? God, no. Conquering hero, my friend. No. No, people don't. I mean, if people want to abuse you, they wouldn't go to your gig,
Yeah, but people who know you in a friendly way might show up and say, there he is.
Oh, well, there'll be a bit of that, yeah. But remember, I have a microphone and they don't.
That's
and
true.
I am.
It is a weapon.
It absolutely is a weapon. And also, I might have considerably more experience in dealing with that situation than they would if they're shouting at me, So, I mean, you can always be caught out. But what I learned is that people always ask you about heckles and stuff. What I learned doing stand-up after a while is that not every heckle is a challenge, and not every heckle is designed to be destructive and to challenge your authority and wrest it from you and all the rest. Irish people a lot of the time tend to heckle, and it's a fair play to you, or get on with that, or a bit messing, or a bit of slagging or something like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, and you have to kind of judge each one on its merits. When I started out, when you're so nervous at the beginning that you just think, I must slam all heckles, and somebody would shout something that agreed with the point you make, and you go, yeah, well, I did this to your mother, which is an entirely pointless thing to do. And the guy would be just sitting there going, I just said you had nice jeans, so you kind of get experience after a while,
Yeah, I gather you had an interesting night in Longford, was it on Saturday, where you were propositioned on stage?
I was, yes. I didn't think you knew about that.
We have witnesses.
Were you getting texts? Yeah, there was a girl in the front row, and she may have implied that she was with all the lads in the front row. And
she was with all of them?
Yes, that's what she...
With all
that's what she implied, yeah. And
her name's Maggie, by the way.
And once Maggie implied that, well, then that gave me free rein to possibly exaggerate that situation a little bit more. And yeah, it ended up with her propositioning me. I can't really say more than that at this hour of the morning, but yeah, I didn't take her up on that.
No, don't worry about the hour of the morning. You were retreating from the stage without your belt, I believe.
Well, no, I had my belt on. It's just my trousers are open, that's all.
Ah.
Yeah.
Right. And did Maggie come and say hello?
No, Maggie didn't come and say hello. No, it was all for the purposes of show, Will, and stop trying to get me in trouble.
I was just curious.
No, it's all. But people always remember that stuff. That's always the crack that people remember. You know, they always say to you, "I was at the gig that something happened," or "I was at," rather than necessarily. You know, they like the stories and all the rest, but usually it's the stuff that kind of happens in between gigs that are not in between gigs, but with the audience that people remember. You know.